Welcome to episode 9 of the Demo Guys podcast. I'm Sam Kaplan, founding CEO of Brand Ambassador Consultants, joined as always by Jason Smith, CEO of Velocity Goats. We are excited to be back here with you guys. Been an adventurous week for both Jason and I, but good to be doing the show right now. And we've got some big news, Jason. I'm sure everyone can see at the top of the screen. We are now sponsored by Shelf Made and Retail Row, my friends Ashley and Carlene. So we're excited to have them on board as a sponsor. And you might be asking, what is Retail Row by Shelf Made? So Shelf Made is a platform and community built specifically for product-based founders. Whether you're in food, beverage, beauty, or wellness, Shelf Made gives you access to real expert and founder support, weekly strategy calls, office hours where you can ask questions and get answers in real time, and proven tools and templates to help you scale your brand with confidence. They've also launched Retail Row, a step-by-step retail readiness hub designed to help you get into top retailers like Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, Costco. Carlene knows a little bit about Costco, I can tell you that much, and Amazon. Each section is taught by top-tier brokers who specialize in that exact tier, people who've gotten hundreds of products on shelf. You'll get insider strategy, buyer expectations, timelines, pitch templates, and live sessions to make sure you're fully prepared before you ever reach out to a buyer. Whether you're launching or scaling, Shelf Made and Retail Row are giving founders everything they need to win at retail without the guesswork. Check them out at shelfmadecpg.com. Let them know the Demo Guys sent you. I'm a part of both the Retail Row and Shelf Made communities, and I can tell you the amount of information that is going to be at your fingertips is incredible. It's just such a tremendous resource that I am now using as well, and I know a lot of other founders in the industry are already there and benefiting from it too. So check them out, our friends at Shelf Made and Retail Row. But Jason, we got a great show today. Got our CPG weekend review, just one story we're going to talk about, but a big one. And then we get to our main event, Bar Wars. That's right, Bar Wars. Jason and I are going to do our best to draft the best team of nutritional bars out on the market. I am definitely the prohibitive underdog. Jason is Mr. Nutritional Bar, being one of the key principles of building out the refrigerated bar space through Perfect Bar. Jason is Mr. Perfect Bar. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm just hoping to maybe get a few votes. We'll put our teams up on LinkedIn and see which team gets the most votes. But we're going to kick it off now with our CPG week in review. And the headline there is, what the hell, Pepsi? I think Jason and I are going to go off on an epic rant here. I know I am. So just there you see it. That is the new product. It's supposed to be available online by Black Friday and then in stores by February 2026. But I'm already seeing videos on Instagram of influencers trying Pepsi's new prebiotic soda. It's in the universe. It's in existence. And you see some of the details there. No artificial sweeteners. They're using stevia. Just 5 grams of sugar, 30 calories, and I think it's like somebody said 3 grams of prebiotic fiber, which I don't know. I don't know what you can do with that. Knock yourself out with 3 grams of prebiotic fiber because it's better than 0. But to kind of catch everyone up to speed, in case you've been living under a rock, just a few months ago, Pepsi invested, depending on reports, anywhere between $1.8 billion and $2 billion into Poppi, one of the preeminent leaders in the prebiotic soda space. So this announcement really caught me off guard. I don't understand the logic in it. And Jason, from my perspective, I would consider it corporate malpractice to spend that much money on an acquisition and then create a competitor to it, which will no doubt cannibalize sales of Poppi. The ink's barely even dried on the contract. And then Pepsi comes out and announces a new prebiotic soda under their own banner. I've got more to say, but Jason, before I want to turn it over to you to get some initial thoughts.
You know, it blew me away too, Sam. This is my biggest thing. So I've been in this industry a long time, and I've been in the field marketing space for a long time as well. But I've worked with a lot of DSD distributors, and obviously DSD in beverage is key, and Pepsi owns its own DSD, right? So they have their own coolers at the check stands, their pop coolers. You'll see them everywhere, right? Coke and Pepsi compete for that space. They own those coolers. They can put whatever they want because they own them. Like they can put anything under the Pepsi portfolio in there. So what I want to ask Pepsi now. So what are you telling your delivery drivers, your DSD delivery drivers? What are you going to put in the cooler? Is it going to be Poppy? Is it going to be this? Or is it going to be both next to each other? Are they just going to compete for space? And why? I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. On a business model, you're going to cannibalize one or the other. And why are you going to spend all this money on an innovation launch that's basically just competing with, like what you just said, $2 billion acquisition? That's a lot of money. Like, I don't.
Pepsi.
It doesn't make any sense to me at all. So.
And it's conjecture on my part, Jason, but I feel like it's potentially an internal power struggle. Someone on one side of the C-suite spectrum at Pepsi pushed for the Poppy acquisition, and then someone on the opposite side of that spectrum didn't agree with it. They didn't want it. They didn't feel like it was needed. And the one side got what they wanted, and then the other side said, you know what? Hey, we're going to really show those other guys within the company a thing or two, and we're going to launch our own product, and we're going to kill it. This feels almost like, and I hate to say it because I know some people at Poppy, and I wish nothing but the best for them. I want them to do well, but it feels like almost like the early stages of Coke's acquisition of Honest Tea, where Coke had so many other tea brands under its label and took something that was really, really good in Honest Tea and bought it to eventually kill it a couple of years later. I hope that doesn't happen to Poppy, but this is something that if you're working for Poppy, you cannot be happy with this news.
Yeah. 100%. Great analogy too, because I thought that too. It just seems very similar and similar playbooks, similar story, and probably going to be a similar outcome. I hate to say that, but
not the way you want to start out a new relationship with a company you now own. They own Poppy. It's theirs. It's not like they struck a deal to put a distribution deal where Poppy's owned by Poppy and they're just putting Poppy on the Pepsi trucks to fill those trucks up. They own Poppy. And I want to continue my rant here. You and I were like kind of talking about it during the pre-show. And, I know you're going to have thoughts on this. And, I haven't been in the industry as long as you, Jason, but I've been in it for about 10 years. And in my travels, I've had the opportunity to interact with C-suite level executives. Either they were, with the major corporation brands, the major corporate brands. I've interacted with them. Some of them were formerly of those brands. Some of them were still there. And there were some really smart people that I met, and I knew, hey, you are who you are for a reason. You know your stuff. You're legit. And then I interacted with some of these C-suite executives that it came from the major corporate brands, and after about 5 minutes, I'm like thinking to myself, like, how did you get to where you are, and why is anyone listening to you? It harkens back to the story you told us, several episodes ago with these consultants that charge an arm and a leg, and they're giving out bad advice. There's just some C-suite level executives coming from the corporate side. They get involved with BFY brands and they just destroy them, because they don't know what they're doing. They just don't understand. And somehow they got to where they are, and they are able to kind of fake it until they made it, but they're still faking it. And it's a lesson to emerging CPG founders, especially from the BFY side, because I've interacted with a lot of those founders over the years as well. And what happens is, these upstart founders, they start their companies, they leverage just about everything, and they start to see exits by other companies. And that's the vision they have. And then these people, kind of matriculate down to them, trying to position themselves for board seats, and they want advisory shares. And the lesson is, not all C-suite level executives that want to be on your board are created equal. Some will absolutely bring value to your brand. Others, they're charlatans. So be careful, do your diligence, and get to know them. Spend time with them and talk to them. Don't just look at their resume. It would be akin to I'll use a sports analogy. The Oklahoma City Thunder won the NBA championship, right? They've got 15 players on their active roster. And let's say a couple players from their starting lineup became free agents. And a couple people, the 13th, 14th, and the 15th man, they became free agents. When you're going out and recruiting these former C-suite corporate executives, you want to get the SGA, the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You want to get the starters, guys and gals from the starting five coming over from those brands. You do not want to get the 13th, 14th, 15th man off the bench that is trying to tell you that they contributed, they had a lot to do with the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the championships. When these exits happen, there's people that position themselves as being the reasons for it. And sometimes they are, and other times they really had very little to do with it. And I've even found that some of them came in with 3 months to right before the exit was announced. They present themselves as if they have been there for 3 years. Anything to add there?
It's kind of the story of my career. Sam.
We were talking about you worked with people like that too.
You're absolutely right. I don't want to I don't want to talk too personally. I've had some pretty awkward experiences with SVPs and stuff coming in, and just the one thing I'll say is if you're an emerging founder, obviously in the better for you space, and I've hammered this home a lot on these calls. Talk to someone who's actually scaled a brand. That's it. There's a million people out there who will say, "Oh yeah, I was part of this, part of this, part of this." You need to really dig into their resume and say how big of a part of it they actually were. Because you're absolutely right, Sam. They start flooding VC money into these companies, and these better for you brands that start hiring left and right from PepsiCo and all these other brands. They know a playbook. It's a very standard playbook. But the problem with these big CPG conglomerates is they own their own distribution. They own so much. They have so much money to throw out there. There's no targeted, they can take risks and flop, and it's not going to, that bottom line's really not affected. They got cash to burn. When you're a small brand and you're bootstrapping and every dollar needs to make sense where you're putting it, and that's why I've always driven really, really hard on, hey, sub $50 million, demos. You need trial, you need awareness, and you need to generate revenue while you're building trial and awareness. And if you cannot show some kind of return on investment or measure it from some kind of whatever activity you're doing, don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not worth your dollars. And quit listening to everyone like you need more points of distribution across the country to win. That's a flawed model. That is a model built by big CPG that does not work. Okay. You need to do it strategically. You need to start this and realize that, hey, this is a journey. It's not an overnight thing. I'm not going to be the biggest brand tomorrow, but I can get there if I'm strategic, if I'm disciplined, if I just follow the simple rule of every dollar that goes out, I need to measure what the ROI is coming back to me. And that's it. So.
And getting product on the shelves is great, but you also you have to keep your eye on how you're going to get the product off the shelves. I think a lot of people lose sight of that. You got to get the velocities. Demos. In closing, my last statement here on this is, again, emerging CPG brand founders, before you give advisory shares to a C-suite level executive coming from the corporate side of CPG, do your diligence, specifically ask around. Don't ask for references because that's an IQ test. They're not going to give you a bad reference, but go on their LinkedIn page, see who they're connected with, see who they've worked with. Maybe there's some common connections, and go up and ask those people, hey, have you worked with so-and-so? What did you think? What was their true day-to-day involvement and contribution to brand X? You just don't want to give that equity away. Be very, very careful. But now we are going to our main event. It is time for Bar Wars. Much anticipated. This was the brainchild of Jason Smith. Very excited here to get into our CPG nutritional bar mock draft. Who's going to build a better team? We'll alternate picks. Going to go 5 rounds. Jason, would you like to kick it off and do the honors?
I guess I got to go first, you know, and honestly, I don't feel like I have an advantage here because at the end of the day, you know, everyone's going to have their own bias or their own favorite bars and things. And honestly, I'm very staunch to ingredients. So, you know, it's one of those things for myself. Now, this one is probably the one that most people would question for my picks, but I have to like say something positive about it because I've been eating no cow bars for a really long time. When these first came out, I remember, you know, obviously I was part of Perfect Bar. I think we were still Perfect Foods Bar at this time. I think we had just gotten the VMG investment. And I remember going to a football game with Bill Keith, the founder and CEO of Perfect Bar. We went to San Diego Chargers in San Diego. Every year we'd go to either the Bronco game with San Diego and Denver, or we go to San Diego Chargers. And of course, this is a long time ago when they were actually in San Diego. And I remember Bill saying, "Hey, I'm in a position where I could buy companies at this point. Do you know?" And we started talking about like what we should acquire. I said, "You know what? There's this new bar that I found. It's called No Cow." and we had a conversation about it. We were drinking some beers. I think it just went by the wayside. But you know what? Still holding pretty strong. Don't love all the ingredients in their bars. I'm really not a big fan of palm oil. This bar in particular has no palm oil, no canola, no nothing. It's very clean. This is just their peanut butter, chunky peanut butter flavor. 190 calories, 20 grams of protein, great macros, good amount of fiber, you know, lower fat, kind of the David before David and a much cleaner ingredient list. So I wanted to call that one out.
And vegan. So we get for all our
vegan, right? Yeah. So if you can't do dairy, it's a great option.
Yep. All right. Well, Jason, I'm surprised. No Cow's a good pick, but I'm surprised that was your first pick. I thought it would be this guy right here. Little controversy because is it a bar? It's a square. I talked to the judges before the show. They approved it. So this is my number one draft pick. Midday Squares. The macros are excellent. The ingredients are excellent. Well, I shouldn't say the macros are excellent. Not a ton of protein, but really, you know, low in sugar. I think 7 grams of sugar, which may sound like a lot to someone that's keto, but the reality is when you try this, when you taste it, it tastes like there's 20 to 30 grams of sugar in it. So the taste profile is incredible. And the functional aspect of it to me is, you know, it's 2 p.m., it's 3 p.m. You don't want to do unhealthy snacking. This is going to get you to dinner. This has been my go-to at 2 to 3 p.m. for quite some time now. And you know, if the Midday Square people are watching this, we need you in Costco USA. I know you guys want to be there. I know I'm speaking to the choir, but you got to get it done. We need Midday Squares in the United States Costco's. Please make it happen.
Maybe do some demos in Whole Foods.
So my understanding is they haven't demoed at all in the U.S. yet.
We're ready for you. We're ready. We're ready.
Two guys that can help you out. We'll team up on that one.
Right? I mean, honestly, great pick, and I would have picked that in a heartbeat too. But you know, I figured we'd have crossover if we did. So I went with RX Bar. Still a big fan. I know. This is probably our biggest competitor with Perfect Bar, although it wasn't sold refrigerated. You know, kind of similar timing. They were a little bit later than we started, obviously, but. Came on really strong, and I honestly, my wife and I probably consume 2 or 3 of these a day still. Love the ingredients, love the texture. It's one of those things because I hike a lot. I love the packability of this. Like, it doesn't matter how I actually like it when it gets melty and hot. Like some bars that I'm going to mention on this call, not as great outside of the fridge. So you don't want to like keep it in your pocket on a really hot hike all day. This is a great one. So and a great product.
And I'm smiling because I'm, you know, RX Bar, there are a lot of pros, a couple of cons, but before the show, Jason guessed what one of my picks was going to be and threw some shade at me for that pick. That pick hasn't happened yet. When it does happen, I'm sure I'll get some shade for it. But you know, that was your second round pick. My second round pick, you went with No Cow as your plant-based vegan protein bar. No Cow, not a bad pick, but I think the number one pick in the plant-based protein category is IQ Bar. My friends Will Nitza, Ryan Lee, they have done incredible work the last couple of years growing the IQ Bar brand. It is a tremendous bar from the perspective of macros and taste. The only question that comes up, you know, the guy that everybody knows, Bobby Bobby Parrish from Flav City slagged the bar a couple times because it has natural flavors. Well, Bobby tells you that the natural flavors are the biggest lie in the industry. That's not necessarily true. Natural flavors can mean a lot of things. I work closely with Will and Ryan a couple years back when I first launched Brand Ambassador Consultants version 3.0, and I know how the bar is made. I know the ingredients. The natural flavors are flavor extracts. They are natural flavor extracts. It's not the junk that Bobby Parrish would like you to believe. And people like that, those influencers, what they should do is understand what natural flavors can mean. It can mean over 100 different things. And all you need to do is contact the brand through their website and ask them, what are your natural flavors? Can you provide more details? And I know Will has done that for consumers in the past. So to me, IQ Bar, no downside to that bar. 12 grams of protein. The flavor profiles are incredible. I go back and forth with what my favorite bar is from IQ Bar. They've got 6 varieties that I all stand by in terms of flavor.
Yeah, and 100% with you on that, Sam. I mean, I regularly buy the box at Costco myself, and I love that product too. I feel like this is already going more new school to old school because I'm going a lot more with old school stuff. And my next pick, I don't have the bar with me. I'm traveling right now. I apologize, I wasn't able to get it, but it's one of the first like vegan, really awesome, clean ingredient bars. Go Macro. What a great product. Awesome texture, taste.
OG
Another one of those great, pack out bars that you can bring with you anywhere. It tastes great if it's warm, cold, whatever. Great products. I've always loved that brand. I've always thought to myself, if they could scale a demo program, and I'm sure they're doing great. Erin Pease, I know Erin really well, and she's one of the managers there. It's just a great product, and it's still think it holds its own in the category. I'm sure it's still growing. They had a kids bar line that came out that I love too. But yeah, check out Go Macro if you haven't tried their bars before. Still one of the best on the market.
And we do have a comment here from Richard Moniz. As a Canadian, we need more of their flavors in Costco. That's a reference to Midday Squares, which is a Canadian-based company. So, Midday Squares, sky's the limit for those guys and gals. Still a lot of, they've come a long way, but there's still a lot of work that can be done to grow that brand. So we're now in, that was the start of round 3. So this is the last pick of round 3. And this bar that I'm about to show you is the bar that's going to cost me some BFY credibility. I think my BFY credibility card might be pulled by certain people in our industry, but I'll talk about why I like this bar and how it plays an impact in my life. This is Barbells. So, Barbells, it's not perfect, but the macros are good in terms of protein. And, when I travel around and go to C-stores such as Wawa, there's not an overwhelming amount of BFY options. And same thing with the airports. And Barbells is seemingly everywhere. And in certain stores and certain retailers, it is by far the cleanest ingredient nutritional bar that you're going to find in that store. It's not something that, is going to be sold at the crunchiest of hardcore health food stores. But in terms of the selection at a place like Wawa, you'll be hard pressed to find a cleaner ingredient bar than Barbells. And again, not perfect with its ingredients, but it gets the job done. I've got to tell you though, from a flavor perspective, it tastes like candy bars. It's just so I don't eat them often, but when I'm on the road and have no other options, Barbells is my go-to.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And I get that, convenience is key too. So I understand that. This is going to be my only new entry to the bar category. Not a new brand by any means, but kind of came out as more of a refrigerated snack or dessert brand that launched this new protein line. And Sam, I know you tried this recently too.
Yep.
Honey Mama's Protein. My wife and I consume at least 2 of these a day now. I literally am traveling right now, and I have to book hotels with refrigerators, so we have these. They're so good. I can't even tell you. Go to Whole Foods right now. There's 3 flavors on the shelf. Go to Kimmerton Whole Foods. They got 2. Go and get it because they are so good. Honey Mamas, do some demos on those suckers. You guys will scale your business in 2 seconds. I haven't tasted a bar that good in a really long time. The texture, It's got this crunchy. I mean, Sam can tell you, he tried it too. They're really good. So
I chowed down on that on a recent episode. And what I would say is, honey mamas, if you are doing demos, I haven't seen them, but if you are doing demos, do even more, double, triple down, because people are going to try. Tasting is believing. People will try that bar. And if you do it the right way, you'll sell them by the case and not by the bar.
That's how we buy them. That's how we buy them.
So last pick of the 4th round for me, and I'm going to go with another plant-based protein bar. Don't eat these as often, but from an accessibility standpoint, sometimes they're there. And Aloha bars, which are pretty popular. People in my house eat them. My number one protein bar, my plant-based protein bar is IQ bar. But if I'm on the road and IQ bar isn't there, I go with Aloha bar. And, macros are great. Taste is pretty good. This is my favorite one, the peanut butter cup Aloha bar. If you haven't tried it, this is a good one to start out with. But yeah, that is my 4th round pick. And they're selling a lot of those. I think they're doing pretty well.
I love Aloha bar too, and I'm glad that was part of your picks as well. Another bar. So I'm a bar kid. I have to admit, I have kind of a problem with bars. I eat way too many, but that's one that I always have too. The only one, my favorite one is the peanut butter. I think it's peanut butter, like it's peanut butter and chocolate, and there's a chocolate coating. The only problem with that one is it's like if you get out in the heat too long, it's going to melt. But all the other ones are really great. I mean, they're a great product. Great. I love IQ bar more as a snack. It's 12 grams of protein. It's really good. The Aloha bar to me is a little bigger. So if I'm like a little bit more hungry or something, that's the bar I'll go to. But both of them are just great products. Last and not least, everybody knows I'm going to pick Perfect Bar, right? I don't have a bar with me. I do have the Buddy the Bee tattooed on my arm. If that means anything to you guys.
There's the visual.
But, obviously, I was a big part of that brand from, for over a decade of my life. And, it brings back a lot of great, hard, intense, moved to 8 different cities, spent Christmases with the family a lot. Had the best man in my wedding might've been the founder and CEO. So obviously I'm a big fan and I always will be of the Keith family. But the product itself is I still have never had a bar where I'm more satiated and happy after eating, and the texture, just let that guy sit in your pocket for about 5 to 10 minutes. That's the best thing in the world. The dark chocolate sea salt peanut butter bar, I believe is still the number 1 selling nutrition bar in the country, if I'm correct to buy that, but for a good reason. So great product, 20 organic fruits and vegetables in that sucker. Nobody even knows it. So it's a great product.
All right, well, I'm going to close it out with Mr. Irrelevant in this nutritional bar mock draft, and I'm going to go old school. And Jason, you'll remember this one because you and I were roaming the aisles pre-COVID. We didn't know each other then, but we were probably bumped into each other more times than not at places like Wegmans and Whole Foods back in the late mid 2010s. This was all the rage. And I'll go on a rant about this one, but I'm sure you know this. Epic Provisions. This was all the rage back in 2016. Then it sold to General Mills, and this is a controversial one because it is a bar. It is meat, but it is a bar, so it fits the definition. And I don't know what General Mills is doing. I don't. This is another example of corporate CPG malpractice. Epic Bar is in a category, the meat snacks category, which has now become a multi-billion-dollar category. It's one of the fastest growing categories in CPG. And I feel like Epic kind of, General Mills, all the momentum that it had years ago has been completely lost. I went into Wegmans this morning, Jason, to get my bars for the visual presentation during the show, and I could barely find Epic. It was like the lower right of the Wegmans bar section. And if you've never been in Wegmans, their bar section is massive. And it's on the lower right bottom shelf now. And they have 3 or 4 facings. I could barely find it. And for a second there, I'm like, did it get discontinued? Is it still even in business? But I used to eat these all the time. But what I'm disappointed is I noticed right there, 7 grams of protein. That was not the case 10 years ago. It had much more protein. And then I flipped it around. I'm like, oh, they shrunk the bar. Yeah. And, General Mills, what I would say is this, Jason, this could be a huge player in the meat snacks category. They're not doing anything with it. I don't see it in the club channels. There's no club channel packaging there. I haven't seen an Epic Provisions demo in almost a decade. And I used to see them all the time in Wegmans and Whole Foods. And it's an easy product to demo. You just cut it up into squares with a toothpick, hand it to the customer, let them know about the benefits. And I haven't had one in a while. I'm going to try this today, but they used to taste awesome to me. I'm wondering if they messed with the flavor. But Jason, you and I should start like a GoFundMe or a crowdsource campaign. Buy Epic from General Mills, and then just take on all the meat snack players with this. They should have their Costco packs. They should come out with the kids version, although this looks like a kid size version.
That's the kids version right there.
So bring the bars back to their former glory. Keep this size. Update the packaging for the kids. Put on some the bison, make them a cartoon character. The venison, make them a cartoon character. Have the kids version. Have the club channel packs. And do tons of demos. And I think that, Epic could be a massive player, but you got to do better than 7 grams of protein. And it used to be like 10 to 12. I think maybe even more than that. I had to go back and do the research. I thought maybe at one point, some of them were like 20 grams of protein, but I used to eat these like when between demos at Wegmans, it was like my lunch. And it's a shame that it's fallen from grace, but I think the utility of the product and the functionality of the product is tremendous, and the relevancy of the category has never been higher. Yet Epic Provisions they've fallen by the wayside. General Mills, you messed up. And I'm going to go off on a rant, and then we'll end the show. But it's these corporate CPG companies. They buy these BFY brands that are upstarts and insurgent brands that take shelf space from them, and they buy them to tear them down, not to keep building them. And what happens is, these BFY brands, it's a concentrated group of committed individuals making great sacrifices that are motivated to build these brands out. And they come in as insurgents, they steal shelf space from the corporate brands, and then the corporate brands come in and they buy them out and they give them a good exit. And on one hand, very happy for founders that get that exit after making all those sacrifices. But as a consumer, these brands they fall by the wayside, they get discontinued, they get dropped, and the building stops. The corporate CPG companies, they buy the BFY brand, and they wonder 6 months in, why aren't the sales where we want them to be? And the reason is because you stop the momentum. All of the energy and effort being put forth towards growing that brand, you took the secret sauce away. You killed it, and you thought it was just going to grow on its own. So I don't know if it's a situation where these big brands, their true intention really is to buy them, to destroy them, or if they just don't understand the brand and they just let it die by the wayside and they don't invest in it. But in order to grow sales, you've got to invest money.
Honestly, Sam, I think the biggest problem is they don't understand the consumer. It's the end consumer that they don't understand, and they think innovating around it is going to help the brand grow. On Epic, and I'll end this fast. I know we're going to time. Epic, when that happened, they came out with a direct competitor to RX Bar. It was almost the exact same product, 5 ingredients, written on the front, Epic, right? And honestly, it kind of flopped. And why? Because Epic was known for the meat bars, right? That was how that was their North Star. Somehow they thought it'd be really good. Well, RX Bar is doing so well. Let's just create another sub brand off of Epic and try to compete with them. Stay the course. Seriously, you're already dominating the meat snacks. You could be Chopped. You could be all these other brands in a heartbeat. But instead of doing what you did best, you tried to zag out and try to compete where you didn't have the clientele or the customer base. And honestly, I think you lost a lot of respect. And I think it's the same thing Pepsi is doing right now with Poppy, with their new, like we mentioned earlier. I don't see it going anywhere else, honestly. I mean, I hope you surprise me, Pepsi. I hope you somehow find a way to make both those brands phenomenal and obviously legacy brands. But I'm taking the under. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you there. I hope I'm wrong too. I know good people there. But that's it for episode 9 of the Demo Guys podcast. Want to thank our sponsor, our first ever sponsor, Retail Row by Shelfmade. Check them out at shelfmadecpg.com. If you're interested in sponsoring the Demo Guys podcast, hit me up, sam@baconsultants.agency, right there on the screen. And in terms of our next episode, hope to be back next week, but it's been a crazy summer for both Jason and I. The August schedule could be back and forth. We realize this Friday 9 a.m. time is a first time airing for us. The best way to keep up to date when our shows are going to air live is to go to the Brand Ambassador Consultants YouTube channel at BA Consultants. At BA Consultants is how you find it on YouTube. And then give us a like while you're there, but also hit subscribe. But most importantly, also hit the notification button. When you hit that notification button, anytime we schedule a live show and anytime we actually go live, you will receive a notification. You will know right away when the Demo Guys podcast is about to air and is airing live. And of course, you can always get the archives and view on demand at BA Consultants on YouTube. So, we'd love to have you a part of the live show. If you can't make it, don't worry. You'll get the archive version on the Brand Ambassador Consultants YouTube channel. But for Jason Smith, I am Sam Kaplan. We'll see you next time on the Demo Guys podcast.
Thanks, everyone.